Hi guys and welcome back to the fourth part of my tutorial. In this part I will show you how to add detail to the foreground, once you have found a position for your camera. The first part is the same as creating the mask in the second part of the tutorial series. If you have seen that, you can skip to the second chapter. Make sure the add-on import images as planes is registered and import the image from the building in the foreground you want to add detail to. Add a plane and position on the first window. Add an array modifier, adjust the settings. Add a second one for the other axis. Since the rows are not equally spaced, I duplicate the plane and adjust to the other windows. I duplicate the geometries in case I want to reuse them on another texture and put them in a collection. Then I select the geometry for the windows and join them with Ctrl-J. Then I shift select the image plane, go to edit mode and under mesh click on knife-pfoject. Next I hide the cutting geometry and in face selection mode, create a face map to store the selection. Next with the knife tool I cut lines along the brick protrusions. I then select the faces and extrude them outwards. Deselect everything and select the face set for the windows and extrude them outwards. I delete the unnecessary faces. I add another plane and repeat the process for the vents. I select the face map for the windows again and expand the selection by pressing Ctrl numpad+. I then deselect the face map for the windows to get the selection for the window frames. I then go to Select, Similar, Normal and then deselect the face map for the window frames. This way I get all the extruded faces that are not unwrapped. Then I go to the UV editor and press U and choose Smart UV Project, with Stretch to UV Bounds unchecked. If you have the add-in UV tools too, you can align all the islands on top of another and place on a section on the image with bricks. This is not really necessary as you probably won't see those details anyway. Next I rotate the wall by pressing RX90. Turn the absolute grid snap on and place it with the left corner on the origin. Add another plane and do the same. Change to vertex snap and turn on affect scale and scale the plane to the same size as the other one. Select the face and delete only faces. Go to Object Mode and convert to Curve. Increase the curve resolution to 64 to get sharp corners. Add an array modifier and a curve modifier and choose the curve. Increase the array count to 4. You can add another array modifier for the z-axis if you want, easily. Then I am adding loops using hard ops dice, so you can bend the walls for curved building fronts. If you don't have hard ops, you can use the knife tool. Next I duplicate the shader and assign it to the window geometry using the face map. This way I can add reflections, which makes it more realistic. I hide the ground to make the viewport more responsive. In face selection mode, I select the buildings I want to add detail to by pressing L while hovering over the building. Then I press P on the keyboard and choose Separate Selection. Change back to Object Mode, select the separated geometry and back to Face Selection mode. Select all by pressing A and then P to separate by loose parts. I then select the first building and select the faces of the walls and delete them. I change to edge selection mode and by alt-clicking I select the loop and duplicate and then separate the selection. In object mode I convert to curve and increase the curve resolution to 64. I then check which texture was on the building on an image I rendered out before. Then I append the geometry and select the curve in the curve modifier. I then scale the geometry roughly and adjust the array count. And then scale to close the gap. Now I have to adjust the roof geometry to the new height. Repeat for the other building. If you get windows going round corners, you can fix that by moving the geometry in X direction. Since the texture mask for the trees was done a bit sloppy, there are some instances that are in ridiculous places. I use the particle edit tool to cut those instances. Another problem is, that with just using one tree for instancing is that you can easily spot the repetition. To fix that, I just copy the tree and rotate it slightly. It is important to apply the rotation in order to take effect on the instancer. Next, I take the duplicated tree collection and place the cursor where I want to hide crappy texture parts. I add and place collection instances, because that is memory saving. Next, I'm going to fix some texture issues on the ground plane by first disabling the particle instancer modifier and then changing to the texture paint panel, choosing single image and choosing the satellite image. I then choose the clone brush, adjust the size by pressing F on the keyboard, and by pressing Shift and the right mouse button I can choose the source for the clone brush. I then paint out shadows and unwanted parts from the image. It is important to press Save All Images. I chose to adjust that building too. I then fix the texture placement on the city shader by selecting the faces and then going to select Similar, Coplanar, and changing to the UV editor and moving the UVS in the X direction. To further add details, I unhide object 2, which was created by my Sorcar script, and I have to adjust the two faces in the foreground because the height of the building has changed. I then select all faces and press I on the keyboard to inset and Ctrl and I to invert the selection. I then delete the faces. This way there won't be instances that are too close to the border. I append a collection of things I did before, and using the particle instancer, I scatter them on the rooftops. Here I use the particle edit tool again to fix some placement issues. So this is it for this part of the tutorial. I wanted to thank the people that took the time to like and subscribe to my channel, and I hope you liked it. If so, please do the same. The next part will be the last, and in that part, I will show you how you can polish the render in compositing. Thanks for watching and bye.